Today I literally have the easiest and most redneck recipe ever, just in time for Easter. So we're going to be making squirrel and noodles. So all you need is a crock pot, squirrel, some chicken broth, cream of chicken, egg noodles, and butter. You can make your own noodles, but I'm just here at lunchtime. I don't have time to make my own noodles right now. And then also, if you only have one squirrel like I do, I only had one in my freezer, so rookie mistake there. I do also have some chicken breasts just to fill in a little bit. But I'm not gonna lie, my brother is a lot better at cutting up squirrels than I am, but I did my best. So to fill in, since this is, one squirrel is not quite enough for this recipe, I would suggest at least 4. I'm just going to take a couple of these chicken breasts and I'm actually just gonna cut them right in half. Alright, it's that easy. So we're going to set this aside for now. Alright, so once you get your hands nice and clean again, before you pick up your salt and pepper, you're just going to very generously salt all the chicken, all the squirrel, all the meat. And then I'm not a huge fan of pepper, but everyone in my family is, so I'm usually pretty generous with that as well. And you can do both sides. I usually just do one, just because I pour everything on top of it anyway. So you're going to take your crock pot, and you're just going to put everything in a nice even layer along the bottom. And then just sprinkle that squirrel right on in there. And now we wash our hands again. Alright, so the next part of this is just as easy. You just need 2 cans of cream of chicken soup and a spatula just to make sure you get all that out. Is something even a Midwest recipe unless you put cream of something in it? Because I really don't think so. And after we get that cream of chicken spread all around in there a little bit more evenly, I'm just going to take my whole stick of butter and just kind of chop it up a little into smaller pieces. And then just sprinkle those on top. Okay, and then all you gotta do is take some chicken broth. I usually get 2 of these. I'll pour about the whole thing of this in there over the top. But then just in case later on when I add the noodles, sometimes it needs a little extra so it's not dry. So I always have extra on hand. Alright, so I'm going to move this over to the counter, plug it in, and then I'm headed back to work for the rest of the afternoon. You can either cook this on low for, 6-7 hours. I'm probably going to turn it on high. I think low might be a little bit better, but I usually start this like mid-morning, late afternoon or something, so I just turn it on high for about 4 hours. So by the time I get home from work, all of this meat is going to be cooked, and then it's easy peasy from there. But really, this has been pretty easy. Like, the whole recipe is just easy. See you in a few hours. Alright, so I just got home for the shop, and it looks like this is ready to shred. Ooh, a little steamy. So, I'm just going to take 2 forks. Oh, this is just completely falling apart. Seriously, this just gets it so tender. And honestly, I probably won't need to shred the squirrel part. I'm sure that has, it's just like tiny little pieces in there now. It kind of fell apart on its own. Some folks like to use a KitchenAid mixer, but I honestly don't think it's worth the hassle. Like, for this amount of meat, and it's so tender that you really, there's no point in getting it out. Like, that's a lot of work. Because I can't keep mine in the kitchen because this house has no storage in the kitchen. So I have to like get it out of the storage closet, and like look at how easy that's all just falling apart. It's seriously so good. And then here is a piece of the squirrel versus the chicken. So it's really good. It's basically just dark meat. When we get all of this squirrel and chicken shredded, we're just going to go ahead and very carefully, so it doesn't splash everywhere, just kind of toss that back in the crock pot. And then we are going to mix it up a little bit. And then all we're going to do is take our bag of noodles. These are actually made from the Amish over in Park County. My dad and I went last weekend to go to the shoe store, and then we also stopped at the Amish grocery store. So I got some bread and noodles and all the good stuff. And we're just going to go ahead and pour those in. And then I'm not going to actually pour all these in at once. I'm going to kind of mix it up and see if I even need all of the noodles. But there's plenty of broth still left in there, and not that many noodles left. And I really love carbs, so we're going to go ahead and dump the rest in there. And then if need be, we can just add a little broth later on if it seems to be getting a little too dry. Okay, I'm actually going to add a little bit of broth, not a whole lot. It's like Goldilocks. You don't want your noodles too thick or too runny. So I think just adding a little bit splash more of chicken broth will really help it come out just right. And then while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more salt and pepper. So chicken and noodles is kind of like my specialty. I make it for every family holiday, except a few years ago, the entire Holbert family was in town. That had never happened for Christmas before, so it was a big deal. And I was making my chicken and noodles, and my brother was hunting outside. And he was like, what if we just slip some squirrel in there? And I was like, sure, why not? Keep in mind that a lot of that side of the family, they don't live in the country anymore. I'll put it that way. And we didn't tell them until after they ate it, several hours after they ate it. And let's just say people were not happy. This is the perfect dish to make if you don't want to be making food for your family get-togethers anymore, because I was explicitly asked not to bring anything to a family dinner for at least 3 years afterwards because no one trusted me. Okay, and then I'm actually going to turn this to low, and I'm just going to let that sit there just until the noodles soften up. It depends what kind of noodles you want to use. Some people like to use frozen ones. I just use the regular old dried ones, so it doesn't take that long for them to get perfect. Alright, so I've changed into leggings, stretchy pants, so I can eat as much of this as I can tonight without having to worry about a waistband. And I'm pretty sure it's done. Oh yeah, this is looking good. So, this is kind of what it looks like. And I'm just going to go ahead and dip myself up a nice big old helping. So you can either make this with chicken or with squirrel if you want to get out of making anything for any family event or holiday for the next 5 years. But let me know if you make it. It's seriously so good. Nice big old chunk of squirrel right there. Oh yeah. Seriously, squirrel is underrated.